We begin again. In this truth of love, does it have to be hard to find the truth, to return to love? No. The only reason that it becomes what looks like a difficulty, a strain, is the resistance and the attachment within the world. To trust in love, to truly trust, is to allow the intervention of love itself. Just as the symbol of addiction is within the world, intervention is what is called for in every spiritual journey. But the intervention that happens within addiction is when others see that you need an intervention, and through love, they intervene and ask the beloved to wake up enough to see that there is another way of living. The intervention of love must have a willing participant, because everyone has free will, and it has to be recognized and honored. What if every beloved had an intervention with love against their will, or with the idea of being rescued, not really wanting to have anything actually shift or change, but wanting it just to change without any need for any change? The willingness, the free will, is essential to truth. If you did not have free will, if every beloved did not have the choice, no one would have chosen separation, but no one would be free. To be a puppet without free will is not to be really living. And so we are called to the willingness to have the power of love intervene in the everyday life. What is it to have the truth of love intervene? It's to accept the power of God and its transformation, so that everything becomes an opportunity not only of learning and healing, but of miracles. The miracle of love changes the mind and eliminates the constant thinking of the mind that thinks it knows. And everything that the mind thinks it knows, you've lived with for lifetime after lifetime. There's nothing of holiness in the separate mind. The mind of the knower can only think of what has already been. The conclusions always come from a pattern that each beloved has created, has made for themselves. A pattern that says, I know how to negotiate this world. I know what everything means. I know the conclusions. I know the assessments. And if I don't know, I'll guess. I'll guess, And as everyone has experienced, even the guessing has an element of perceived safety for the knower. I'll guess at the conclusion and I'll feel safe for 10 minutes, a half an hour, until I realize that I was making it up, and then I'm back at square one. So God, the power of creation, calls for the intervention of your willingness to not know, and yet to be available for the wisdom of grace, for the wisdom of love itself. Every single idea that everyone has comes from the past. So how can anyone heal if all it's being recycled through the past again and again and again? When you learn to play cards and you learn a card game, you believe that that card game is now embedded in your knowing and that it means something. But what is it that it means? It means that you have made something that you think is yours. And yet, the whole universe of love has nothing to do with the mind that made up the belief that it knows how to play a card game. To be aware of the journey of love is the first step. And the second step is to realize that everything that's been known has been made up. Accepted, first of all. Accepted because it has impeded everyone's journey back to love. Every time there is a knowing, a conclusion, a reaction, an assessment, there's a distance that occurs in your own identity that says, I'm a little bit more separate now because I'm clinging to my knowing. If every beloved would ask the question, what am I afraid of? What is it that I'm holding back from the truth of love, the truth of your divine self? What are you afraid of discovering? The discovery that is the most frightening is equality. Equality, the ego cannot abide. The ego needs to be better. The ego needs to be more. The ego needs to be in control. Of course, it never works because it's nothing actually to control. And there is nothing to be better of. But the fantasy of being better, the fantasy of being in control, the fantasy of being more is so enticing that lifetimes can be spent in that fantasy. The difficulty is that then in every lifetime, as you go into the next lifetime, you start again in the same place, remaking the same beliefs of separation and difficulty. To be afraid of equality is to be afraid of your true self. To be equal in the truth of love is to be everything. It's not a lesser position. It's the place of all creation, all love, and where you truly belong, if you're willing to recognize the beauty of equality. The beauty of equality is so all-encompassing that in that beauty, if you allow yourself, you can feel and receive the blessings of everyone else's movement. Let's say you're sitting next to a beloved who has a beautiful ability to paint. Your ego would say, I'm without because they can paint and I can't. But in the truth of love, in the equality of love, that beloved's expression is in your heart. It's what you carry and you share with every beloved. Every beloved who is able to produce beautiful music, that music is within you. There is no ownership. You can bathe in that music as if you were the creator of that music. It's yours. It's not yours because you have to be greedy and grab it, but because all of love is all equal. There is no separation of anything. So all the fantasies of being better, of being more, just affirms separation again and again and again. And then the sense of being without runs the show. The scarcity principle runs everything in the earth plane. When you look at someone who can play a beautiful instrument and have beautiful music come through that instrument, do you feel loss? Do you feel envy? Do you feel jealousy? Do you feel the greed of wanting that to be yours so that you can be somebody, that you can be better than? Those are the questions that can open the door to healing, to forgiveness, to truth. But the questions must be asked, not the questions that come up in the world of, I know this, I have a conclusion here, I look at this, I know what that means. No, that's the franticness of fear and pain. Feel that sense of franticness. Everybody has carried it. Everybody carries it that still believes in separation. And there is no respite from it, because you can spend the whole day proving what you know and concluding and having the mind working overtime, spinning. And then you have to start over the next day, starting it all over again, instead of surrendering into the truth of love and allowing the truth of love to take you, to hold you, and to heal your mind and your heart from all of the false identities and false idols that have been made within the world, that touches everyone that you know, everyone that you have ever walked with. All of them are being held by your mind that says, I know who they are and I give them an identity, instead of, let me open to the equality with every beloved in the heart of God and forgive every idea of separation that I've ever believed. There is the peace. There is the harmony and the truth, waiting to be embraced out of the insanity of separation. The Divine Mother, as part of the truth of God, as the aspect of the Divine Feminine, brings comfort as you surrender, as you are willing to follow and be part of the light of the Divine Mother. When I feel this pain inside and I find nowhere to hide, Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. This sorrow now imprisons me. Somehow I need to be set free. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. The safety of a mother's care, for Jesus it was always there. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. As I move toward the light, defend me from the dark of night. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Thank you for the love you give, in compassion for your Son I love. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Mother, rain your love on me. Can you open your heart to the truth of the Divine Mother? Or do you hold it as a concept that you can talk about sometimes, but you don't invite this beloved love into your heart? You don't let the Divine Mother lead you all the way, asking for guidance, asking for truth, asking to see with your heart, and to be available for the transformational power of that love, the willingness to be transformed through the love of the Divine Mother. I ask that you hear me because I am calling. I ask to learn the truth of forgiveness. And I ask not only for me, I ask for all beloveds that I have walked with. I surrender them now to be transformed out of my mind of separation and to be brought into the light of truth so that I can be of this divine service. My Mother, when you bring me to forgiveness, you know what there is that needs to be forgiven. You know all the ideas that I've held that have been not the truth of myself or of humanity. I ask for the forgiveness, and I ask for the boat which sails on the sea that also sails in my heart to take me back into the truth of love itself, where I can remember, where I can live, where I can love. Meu Pai, que peço que vos me ouça, para eu pedir o perdão. Eu peço não só para mim e os meus irmãos, Meu Pai, quando for perdoar, perdoa como e convém. Eu peço que vos nos perdoe, como perdoou em Belém. A barca que queiram no mar, corre no meu coração. Aquele que aqui batiza, batizou no Rio de Jordão. I ask that you hear me. The intimacy of prayer is so essential to everyone's journey. The intimacy of prayer, where you are in your deepest place within the heart, and you speak to the divine, opening the doors, opening your intention, remembering and coming back to being present and being and wanting that communication, wanting to return to the vibration of love. Every beloved, this is the learning. There is another way. How many times do you need to hear who you are before you begin to cash some of that in and stop acting like a beggar for any kind of attention from people who do not really love you? Sweeping the streets the way that some do, with eyes that might covet, is no longer fitting to us, for we are everything's Lord. There is no pride on my face, just the opposite, for I got to this great position in making myself ready every moment to serve another. All the alertness any creature might know, all strength and agility, I would use to care for you in a way a divine lion would its cub. I don't want you to leave and go back into any world that can frighten. Stay here in the truth of love. How many times do you need to hear who you are before you begin to cash some of that in? Well, that is a question for every beloved. Who are you? And when the answer is there within all sacred teachings of who you are, how do you embrace it? How do you accept it? Or do you just put it in the same place that you put other mental constructs, something to think about at some time, but not to take into the heart? And this is exactly where everyone is being called to the heart. To answer the question, who are you, is to stand in the light with the divine and to accept that you don't know who you are, but you're willing to learn. What if you started a practice that instead of using your name or any identification that you've used in the past, with every beloved that you meet, you just say, I'm nobody, except I'm the light of God? Would that throw you into a tizzy because you couldn't continue to perform as an ego within the world? Those are the questions that come through the heart. The willingness to expand the heart, let it burst open, let it be completely melted into every beloved. The way of love, sweeping the streets the way that some do with eyes that might covet. This is an awareness that is very essential to allow the spirit of love to bring forth all of the lies of separation so that it can be let go. What is coveting? Who walks down the street with eyes that covet the shiny objects of the illusion? Can you hold the truth so deeply that you are willing to go beyond the discomfort of discovery? There is no pride on my face, just the opposite, because I am ready at every moment to serve another. The ego can't go there, can't be ready at every moment, because the ego's entire life as it thinks it is about, what about me? What do I get? And the whole life within the incarnation is about getting, and the fear of not getting. Not realizing that the more that you offer love, the more you receive love. Not because you're expecting to, but because it's the natural state of its full circle. But can you offer that love? All the alertness any creature might know, all strength and agility I would use to care for you in a way that a divine lion cares for its cub. Can you step into that possibility of caring for all without looking to get? But that's the key, the caring for all with no expectations. Every beloved has a fantasy of being the rescuer and being held up as the one who cares so much and is so wonderful because they care. But underneath, for so many, it's for the identity. It's for the fantasy of being the one who cares and being superior to others, when all of love is bringing you back into the equality of love itself, wanting only love. Imagine if you had one prayer every day, and at least one prayer a day would be, show me the truth of every relationship that I have been in, that I have had from the beginning of the belief of separation. I am willing to see every relationship and to see its where I've gotten stuck and where I'm able to love. Help me to see every relationship in its complete truth. If that prayer frightens you, it's a perfect place to begin, because the truth will truly set you free. The truth will bring the truth of love, the grace of God. There's a prayer that says, you have a God-shaped hole and you try to fill it with anything but God. Scarcity is blinded by the shiny objects. The shiny objects aren't just material things that do shine. Shiny objects are being recognized, proving worth, wanting to be more than someone else, wanting to be the best musician, the best artist, coveting that in someone else. That's the shiny objects. Not realizing, not being aware that that purity, that beauty, that exquisiteness is already within you. And all of creation is yours. What a journey. Shiny objects, being liked, being seen, being favored, being more, the pain of those shiny objects keep the game going and keep everyone in the unsteadiness of fear. All you have to do is have one moment of thinking that you know how something's going to turn out and having that expectation and having it turned upside down. Sometimes the divine will turn things upside down so that there can be a healing, because your soul's prayer has been, please help me, even though I'm not participating. The help is still wanted. And so the help is brought many times through things not going as you anticipated they would go, because that way you can see that your mind is not in charge. And how important is it to put everything into the hands of God? Every situation, doesn't matter what it is. It can be so simple. It can be that you're going across the street to start your car and the car doesn't start. What does that mean to you? Do you immediately go to the irritation? Do you immediately go to the fear? Or do you go to God immediately? This cannot be a problem. Show me the truth. Please help me to see beyond my limited mind in this moment. And opening to that truth and to that love, life can be in perfect harmony, because nothing is being thought with a separate mind, made up and in pain because of it. I don't want you to leave and go back into the world that can frighten you. Stay here in the truth of love. That's what every teacher, every master is saying. Stay here in the truth of love. Begin to drop in and ask, what would you have me see? What would you have me do? How would you have me look at this? Help me. The scarcity of the ego rules the world. Rules the world. It's not just in the world, it's ruling the world. Scarcity. Everywhere you look, there is a belief in scarcity, a belief of being without. And all the while, love is saying, come home to love and to the fullness of love. It's all in letting go of the mind and opening the heart. Ask the question, do I want to be aware of God's will for me? Do I want that? Do I want it this moment? Do I want it in the next moment? Do I want it in the morning? Do I want it as I go to sleep? Or is everything my decision on my own, in my world, with my way? Everyone who has been in that state, and that includes everybody, that's the place of fear. It's the place of pain, to be in fear because you're in charge, or you think you're in charge, or you're supposed to be in charge. And then there can just be laughter. No, there's nothing to be in charge of. That's the beauty. That's the place of freedom. I'm not in charge. Thank God. Thank God there is a power that runs the universe that I don't have to be on top of figuring things out. I can rest and allow the grace of God to move everything in its perfect harmony for my remembering. Can I live there? Absolutely, you can live there. It's just whether it's where you want to live. Every moment is just a yes or a no. Yes to love or no to love. The problem is that the no to love doesn't say no to love. It just doesn't say anything, so there's no yes. Open the yes in your heart and allow it to be the center of your being. How can I serve love today? How can I remember more fully today? I'm willing. This prayer is a prayer that allows the ego to be put on notice. Spare the world your good ideas. Spare the world your ideas of good until you know that all is perfect. The teacher once said, spare the world your ideas of what is right until you know that all is holy. You cannot cast out your past errors alone. If you cannot hear the voice for God, it is because you have chosen not to listen. Imagine the Spirit of love whispering in your ears, spare me your good ideas. Learn to listen to what is really true and what is most helpful. It's a humbling place for sure, because the humbling says, I don't have to prove anything. How can I have to prove anything? I am already, by God's declaration, I am the light of all life. I am the creation of perfection. Can I live in that light? Can I live in that love? Only be quiet. You will need to no rule but this to let your practicing today lift you above the thinking of the world. Lift you above the thinking of the world. How is that you can be lifted above the thinking of the world? It's by surrendering your mind and being in that quiet space that the answers always come to you if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to have the answers of love and freedom. It's all there for you. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. All concepts that you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself, empty your mind of everything and come empty. Empty your mind of everything that it thinks is either true or false or good or bad. There's no good or bad and no true or false. Everything is for learning and for the realization of grace. And all the ideas of which you have been ashamed, surrender them all. Empty your mind. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief that you have ever learned from anything. Forget this world and come wholly empty unto God. This is not supposed to be a place of fear. This is supposed to be the place of celebration and jubilation. That you have the opportunity, that you have in this moment the awareness enough to make a choice is breathtaking. How many lifetimes have you lived? Let's say you've lived 1,000 lifetimes. 1,000 lifetimes of 80 years each. You have walked through every lifetime with the same beliefs, the same lies, the same identities, all in different costumes, all with different little scenarios, different houses, different landscapes, but all the same. Everything exactly the same, based on the mind of separation, saying, oh, I'm going to live this again. Oh, I'm going to live this again. Oh, I'm going to live this again. Because the mind is making the movie. The mind is again and again and again saying, I believe in separation. I believe in struggle. I believe in being pitied. I believe in loss. I believe in shiny objects. I believe in time. I believe in death. And I believe in winning. And I believe in right and wrong. All of those making up every single incarnation of separation. And this lifetime is the lifetime of discovery of the deepest truth. And all that's being called for is your willingness to let God lead you, to let the divine grace of perfection hold your hand and lead you, if you're willing, in the beauty of perfection, if you're willing. Be innocent of all judgment, letting go of all the judgments of those 100 lifetimes, 80 years each, could be 1,000 lifetimes, could be 10,000 lifetimes. It's all the same. But what is it that's here now? The opportunity to love, the opportunity to let go of that insatiable knowing that the mind spins with all the time, and that is actually filled with pain. Filled with pain. What happens if you think you make a mistake? You think you make a mistake and it's on you. It's on you to be judging yourself. It's on you to be upset. It's on you to be critical. It's on you to be nervous because you're making a mistake. What is that? That nervousness, that upset, that is the arrogance of the ego that wants at the same time to be in charge and know, and is totally terrified of making a mistake. And every time there seems to be a mistake, all of the nerves come up, all of the upset comes up, all of the anger comes up, all of the fear comes up, again and again and again, 1,000 lifetimes doing the same thing again and again and again and again, believing that your mind is your friend, instead of surrendering the mind and all of the ideas into the hands of God and be willing to see it through love itself. I don't know. Only be quiet. You need no rule but this. What is it to be quiet? To be quiet is to still the mind and to deny with God that there is any judgment to make of anything, because you're not actually doing anything with the thoughts that you have anyways. Everything that's going on in the world that you think are cause and effect by your mind, you make a mistake. You think, oh, this is terrible. I've made a mistake. I'll be found out. I'm not perfect. Oh no, oh no. Everything that you think that you're doing in the world is illusion. It has no substance. You make a mistake, it's no different than doing it right. It's all just in the mind. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. The only thing that can accomplish anything in this world is love. That's everything. If there is no love, if it's on fear, if it's on doing it right, if it's on the idea of accomplishment, anything, there's nothing happening. It's just made up. Love is your gift. Love is the only gift that you have to give. The gift of love. The gift of no judgment, which is love. The gift of recognizing who and what you are, accepting that God is your hand, your knowledge, your truth, your everything. And that nothing is happening in this world, nothing's being accomplished unless it's coming through love. Because it's what you are. You are love. It isn't that you are a person who loves. No, you are love itself. Everything about you, because you're not the body, everything your spirit is love. And it's not being recognized or lived, because the truth of love within the spirit can only live in connection with the divine. The personal life is what is so painful. Every time you make a decision on your own, it's personal. It's personal because you think it came from your own mind and you made it up. Yeah, you did make it up. And you put it in your own mind. But you didn't make it up just now. You made it up 10,000 lifetimes ago. You made it up in every lifetime. And it doesn't mean anything because it isn't you. You are love. You are the light. You are eternal. And you have no connection to those past lifetimes. They're not at all who you are in any way, any more than this one is. And yet, your divine spirit is the immenseness of creation. It is God reflected. And it's right here, right now, within you, covered up by the knowing of this world, which is just a facade, letting the trance go. Can you be the holder of the music? Can you be the holder of the one who can paint? Can you be the one who dances in their heart because another can dance? And so then you are one with that dance. There's no limit to your perfection, to your light that God holds and that you hold with God. But it has to be accepted. It has to be lived. And the first is the unlearning of all of the thoughts of ideas that you are doing anything personally on your own that has any purpose. Imagine that when you pass out of the body and somebody wants to bury the body and put a tombstone up, and what's the tombstone say? It was all personal. I had a very personal life. I want everybody to know how personal I was. Personal to what? The personal is made up. It's just a word. But it's the personal that is the maker of all the pain. Every time it's personal, you have something at stake. You believe that there is something at stake that you have to prove, and you don't even know necessarily what it is. But it's a drive. I got to prove to somebody, because you're living the past again and again and again. What did you learn in the incarnation just in this lifetime? You took everything from the outside and said, oh, this is all familiar. This is just like the past, again and again and again, not consciously, but making it personal. I wasn't loved by this being. I wasn't given the right award at school. I wasn't liked by my neighborhood kids. Whatever you took and whatever you keep carrying, it's all personal. It's all personal to try to win, to try to finally win something. When there is nothing to win, you are already the light of God. And all of that identity of personal is a sham that brings nothing. Nothing. The fantasy of love is not love. The fantasy of love is fear, because fear runs the fantasy. Fear says, I have to prove my worth. And there's a shadow that walks everywhere with the personal. The shadow says, oh, be careful, the other shoe's going to drop. Oh, be careful, because something bad might happen. Oh, this is because the personal is making it all up. The personal believes in the protection of the person, and there's nothing to protect. To open your heart is to be unprotected, undefended, because there's nothing to defend. But it takes faith, it takes courage to open the heart and to not be looking for anything. What is greed about within the world except the belief that somebody has something that you don't have? And it all comes from the past. Every single beloved has lived through the idea of scarcity, because the ego is all the belief of scarcity. So what did you see growing up? That somebody got something that you didn't get, that somebody got more than that you didn't get, that somebody got more attention that you didn't get, that somebody was more respected that you didn't get, that somebody else had a higher IQ that you didn't get, that somebody else was from a better family that you didn't get. The list is endless of didn't gets. All in the mind, all in the belief of separation, all in the personal. But there's no truth there. You are whole and complete and the light of God. And every beloved that you have ever walked with is exactly that also, the light of God. Living in a trance, living in a fantasy, each one having their own fantasy. How is it? You have a family of 10, you have a family of 5, you have a family of 2. And in every single family, it's the same thing. The belief that each one sees it through their own perception of lack, of scarcity, of the personal. Everyone has their personal identity that they believe is true, and that you are not that identity, and that you have a different perception that they do, and then that separates you automatically. Everybody has a different perception. The realization that none of the perceptions have any reality to them. There is no personal. You are the light of God. You've always been the light of God. And just because you've forgotten